We are live streaming, Miss Sapp.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us today for the District Library Book Objection Committee meeting. The purpose of today's meeting is to review an objection to the book titled Storm and Fury by Jennifer Armentrout. I'm Dawn Sapp, Associate Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Mr. Forson has designated me as chair of the committee, and I'll be facilitating today's meeting. School-based and district staff, as well as parent and community volunteers, are invited to participate on each committee. Today's meeting will result in a recommendation that will be forwarded to Mr. Forson, St. Johns County School District Superintendent. This committee meeting is a public record and therefore subject to sunshine law. It is being live streamed for public viewing. Committee members are not required to have their camera on during the meeting. We are committed to civility and decorum. Please assist us in maintaining a constructive meeting environment by remaining respectful of each participant during the meeting and afterwards. Additional discussion of the objecting party or committee members outside of the meeting is discouraged. Disparaging comments are contrary to district expectations regarding character and civility. Committee members received several resources in advance of the meeting. The resources included the objecting party's request for reconsideration, a copy of the book, Florida statutes, Florida Department of Education guidance for library media services, professional source reviews, St. Johns County School Board rules, the Library Bill of Rights, and a copy of the School Library Media Material Evaluation Checklist. The process for today is as follows. First, the objecting party will have the opportunity to address the committee. They will provide any information they deem compelling or new regarding their request. Next, the committee will have a discussion utilizing the School Library Media Material Evaluation Checklist. Keep in mind that our final task on the form is to make a recommendation to Superintendent Forson. There are two options: retain the book for a designated level or remove the book from all St. Johns County School District libraries. Again, statute is clear that we must recommend to remove the title if the majority of the committee determines a violation of question 4 on the checklist. The floor will be open to discussion, and each committee member will have the opportunity to share. Oh, you know what? I apologize. I was on the wrong page. So let me go back a step. The process for today is as follows. First, the objecting party will have the opportunity to address the committee. Next, the committee will have a discussion utilizing the School Library Media Material Evaluation Checklist. Finally, the decision by majority vote will determine a recommendation for Superintendent Forson. There are two options: retain for designated level or remove from St. Johns County School District libraries. For our meeting today, both agreeable and opposing viewpoints are welcomed. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, let us begin. Jean Moore is the objecting party for Storm and Fury. Ms. Moore, this is your time to address the committee. You have up to 5 minutes to share your objection.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity for me to share my thoughts. My objections to this book is that it contains obscene sexual activity, sexual nudity, profanity, and violence. If this were a movie, it would be at least rated R, which is not for minors. An R-rated movie is not appropriate for school, so why would the same content in a book be okay for school? As stated by Ms. Sapp, you have all received copies of the Florida statutes that clearly state obscene content in school libraries is now illegal. The state of Florida describes the following as sexual conduct in 847.012, section 19. Sexual conduct means actual or simulated sexual intercourse, deviant sexual intercourse, sexual bestiality, masturbation, or sadomasochistic abuse, actual or simulated lewd exhibition of the genitals, actual physical contact with a person's clothed or unclothed genitals, pubic area, buttocks, or if such a person is a female, the breast with the intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of either party, or any act or conduct which constitutes sexual battery or simulates that sexual battery is being committed or will be committed. This committee has no other option than to recommend the removal of the book from our district. What saddens me and what has been extremely frustrating for me on this journey over the last 2.5 years is that it took the passing of a law to get obscene materials removed from schools. Before that, no one saw anything wrong with it, including the school board. As a culture, we've lost our way. It's no longer the common consensus that adult content is for adults, not for minor children. Every student that walks into a school library is a minor child. Parents have almost no ability to monitor or protect their child from what lies in the media center. The Follett system does not provide enough information for parents to compile lists to opt out, and that opt-out list does not stop a child from pulling a book from the shelves without checking it out. It's an ineffective way for parents to try and protect their child from graphic sex, violence, rape, pedophilia, profanity, etc., etc. Parents alone determine if they want their child to have access to adult materials, not the child, and certainly not the school district. You will walk through the checklist, but those questions alone do not determine if a book is inappropriate. I sincerely hope that this committee will also use common sense, a moral compass, and courage to stand up for childhood innocence and parental rights. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Committee members, we will refer to the school library media material evaluation form for our discussion. As a reminder, Florida statute states that any material used in a classroom, made available in a school or classroom library, or included on a reading list may be objected to for 4 specific reasons. Reason number 1, the material is pornographic or prohibited under section 847.012 of Florida statute. The material must be removed if the majority of the committee agrees with the objecting party that the material is pornographic or prohibited. For the remaining 3 reasons, the committee will determine if there is an appropriate grade level or if the material should be removed. These 3 reasons are: the material depicts or describes sexual conduct as defined in 847.001 of Florida statute. The material is not suited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material, or the material is inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used. Keep in mind that our final task on the form is to make a recommendation to Superintendent Forson. There are 2 options: retain the book for the designated level or remove the book from St. Johns County School District libraries. Again, statute is clear. We must recommend a removal of the title if the majority of the committee determines a violation of question 4 on the checklist. The floor will be open to discussion, and each committee member will have the opportunity to share. Comments will be summarized to provide an overall committee response for each question. Please remember to raise your hand to provide a comment. For our meeting today, both agreeable and opposing viewpoints are welcomed. We will now go through the checklist together. I will read each question, ask if anyone has comments, and then we will vote. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, we are going to now go through the school library media material evaluation. Question number 1 states the objecting party's challenge of the material cites that, and what we will do is we will take from the objection form that Mrs. Moore submitted. She has indicated her grounds for objection. She has indicated all 4 of the reasons, so we will place that into question number 1. So we'll go on to question number 2. For question numbers 2 and 3, this is just for Mr. Forson to know that the committee was able to review the different resources that were provided. So for question number 2, specific pages in the material cited by the objecting party were reviewed. If you did review those specific pages, please vote yes at this time. If you did not, vote no.
Ms. Sapp, I have 8 yes votes. You may now remove your vote.
Thank you. We'll move on to question number 2, which is similar, or question number 3, I apologize, which is similar. So on question number 3, professional and or crowdsource reviews were considered. If you did review those reviews that we provided, please indicate with a yes vote. If you did not review those, please indicate with a no vote.
Ms. Sapp, for question 3, we have 8 yes votes. You may now remove your vote.
Thank you. As we move on to the next series of questions, I will read these questions, give a chance for anyone to raise a hand if they'd like to make a comment, and then we will vote. So question number 4, is the material pornographic or prohibited under Florida Statute 847.012? Are there any comments? Go ahead, Ms. Trey.
Hi. Yeah, I feel like there's been some confusion about this question in the past. So I just want to explain why I'm going to vote no. The Florida statute 847.012, I feel that this work, Storm and Fury, does not meet the definition of harmful to minors. It does not, in order to do so, it would need to appeal to predominantly to a prurient, shameful, or morbid interest, which I do not think it does. It's also not patently offensive. And taken as a whole, it absolutely has literary and artistic value.
Thank you. Are there any other comments before we vote on question 4? Okay, we'll move to a vote. Is the material pornographic or prohibited under Florida Statute 847.012? Please vote.
We're just waiting for one more vote.
Is the material pornographic or prohibited under Florida Statute 847.012?
Ms. Sapp, for question 4, we have 8 no votes. You may now remove your vote.
Okay, question number 5.
We just need to get one more vote removed.
Question number 5. Does the material depict or describe sexual conduct defined in Florida Statute 847.001, paren 19? Are there any comments? Ms. Trey, go ahead.
Sorry, I had another one. I just, full disclosure, I wasn't really looking forward to reading this book. It's not normally what I would pick up, but I actually found a lot of value in it and was surprised by it. I feel like the book look excerpts really misrepresent the nature of the sexual content that is supposedly in the work. For example, one of the first things that it draws attention to is an opening scene, which I actually feel like that scene, if you leave out the end of it, it actually has a really strong message about dating violence and abuse and consent. And it's a message that I would feel very comfortable and something that I hope we would teach our children. And I certainly would love to teach my children. There's another excerpt where he's actually putting medicine on her back because she's injured. And there's a few things in there where I'm just confused as to why they're even being misconstrued as sexual content at all. Like she said something about kissing someone and it was super gross, like kissing her brother. I'm not sure why that would not be appropriate. I do see some representation of LGBTQ characters in this book, and I'm suspicious as to why, given, I thought there would be more sexual content given the objection. So I'm suspicious as to maybe this book was called out in particular because of the LGBTQ characters who are represented in a very innocent way, like his husband entered the room. And that was just something that I thought was interesting. I feel like the book look excerpts, they really misrepresent the sexual content that is in the book.
Thank you, Ms. Trey. Any additional comments before we vote on question 5? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. Does the material depict or describe sexual conduct defined in Florida Statute 847.001 paren 19? Does the material depict or describe sexual conduct defined in Florida Statute 847.001 paren 19?
Ms. Sapp, we have 3 yes votes and 5 no votes for question number 5. You may now remove your vote.
Question number 6, is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented? Are there any comments? We'll go ahead and vote. Is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented?
Ms. Sapp, question 6 has 8 no votes. You may now remove your vote.
Ms. Sikowski, could you tell us where is this material currently available?
Hello, the material is currently housed in grades 9 through 12, which is our high school collections.
Thank you. So for question number 7, we'll consider that this material is currently used in grades 9 through 12. Question number 7, is the material inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used? Are there any comments? Seeing no hands, we'll go ahead and vote. Is the material inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used?
Ms. Sapp, for question 7, we have 8 no votes. You may now remove your vote.
We will now determine the recommendation that we'll make to the superintendent. This material is currently available to students in grades 9 and up. Is there anyone who would like to make a recommendation other than the material is appropriate for grades 9 and up? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, we will go ahead and vote. Our recommendation to the superintendent will be the material is appropriate for grades 9 and up. Please vote yes if you agree with this recommendation. The material is appropriate for grades 9 and up.
Ms. Sapp, for the recommendation of grades 9 and up, we have 8 yes votes. You may now remove your vote.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment that you want included in the summary in our recommendation to Mr. Forson? Go ahead, Elizabeth, or I don't know if this is your hand up or you're clapping.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was supposed to be a hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I just want to say that, this wasn't exactly the type of book that I personally would normally pick up and read. I approached the book differently because I had heard, chitter chatter out and about, different comments. And so I actually didn't read the complaint first. I just started plowing through the book. And it took me a bit to kind of figure out why the book was actually coming up for review. And I really struggled a lot with it for a variety of reasons. One, I don't think that this book is pornographic. I think that it's depicting two consensual adults. And I think that that's an important piece of information. And that's why I'm saying this. It's two consenting adults. The beginning scene, again, that's an opportunity to have a conversation about what consent actually means. And that's an important conversation that needs to take place. So we're talking about two consenting adults, and we're talking about the opportunity to discuss consent. Is the book violent? Yeah. But that's also depends upon your imagination and how you're reading the book. So I don't think it's pornographic. I think anyone who's in the 9th through the 12th grade can handle this book and should be able to understand what consent is. But I think this book offers opportunities for good conversations.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Jen W., go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to echo those sentiments as well. I had no idea going into the book. I read the whole book. I really enjoyed it, actually. And I felt like it was very similar to a Twilight kind of series that is very normal and appropriate for this age group. So I think what we're all kind of trying to say is, I guess anybody can just put in this kind of request with any book, and we have to follow through with this. There's no checks and balances to be like, no, this is a little uncalled for. Every book objection has to go through this process. Is that the question? That's the question I'm asking?
Yes, if we receive a book objection, it does go through this process.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, Nancy, go ahead.
I just want to echo what everyone else was just saying. I like I said, I was really surprised. I did not think I would like this book. I would not normally have picked it up. I did read the whole thing. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was very suspenseful. I thought the characters were really well developed. I thought it had a lot of really strong, powerful messages for kids. Something I wish my kids took a look at it, since I've been walking around with it, and they thought it sounded silly, but I kind of wish that they had maybe taken a pause and not written it off by its cover. And maybe it's not something they normally would have read either, but it had really, really great messages and really great things, I think, for young readers to think about. And it's unfortunate that these few excerpts were taken out of context and it's sort of skewed a little bit. So I think I just like to echo what they were saying. I think I was surprised. It's actually a really good book.
Okay, thank you for those comments. So I just have a few closing statements to share. Thank you to all of our committee members for your participation today. There are two final steps to conclude our work. The first, your acknowledgement as a participation on the committee is needed on the recommendation to Mr. Forson. The recommendation, which includes notes from today's discussion, will be emailed to you. You may acknowledge participation by responding with an email, or you may review and sign the document in person at our Media Services office at 10 Hildreth in St. Augustine. The second thing we need you to do is to return your book and any notes from your work in preparation for our meeting to the location where you picked up your book. We'd like to make sure that we get the email back from you and the books and materials back by the end of this week. So if everyone can please make that your deadline. And are there any questions before we close today's meeting? This concludes the meeting. Thank you very much.